Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast to guide you home into your human journey here on Earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard, and it is my delight to co-create with Gaia and share our messages from Source in this now moment. Here we go. Episode 405. It is Friday here in Cincinnati. It's a little gray and rainy. We have been moving through some new moon in Libra energy, and so I'm arriving this morning feeling like I said so much already this week. I created a tarot card reading on Wednesday and just shared my reflections about the energies moving on our planet, what it means individually, collectively, what the highest potentials are for the next lunar cycle. And so I am finding myself in this moment like, oh, what else? What else would I want to say? And it feels like the nugget or the contemplation I'd like to bring into our podcast space today is about the Fool card. So when I was pulling cards, I always begin by asking, like, what is individually being experienced at this time on our planet? And the card that I pulled was the Fool. It's the 0 card. It has the first place in the deck, but it doesn't have the number 1. It's the number 0. And so I shared that in the video. You can watch that if you want to get the whole story. But I was feeling today, like, what does that even mean to be the Fool? Not to be a fool, but to be the Fool, the archetype, the energy that we all associate with the Fool. And what does that look and feel like? So I thought I would share with you some of the descriptions of the Fool, which I did not read in the new moon card reading. I did not read the descriptions. I thought I'd start by sharing that and then share a couple little nuggets about how it feels to me to be the Fool, what it looks like in my human reality. And then maybe that gives you some guidance as we move into the weekend. Like, how do you explore that archetype in yourself, and what does it mean right now on our planet to be the Fool? Just like last week in the podcast, I talked about being brave. What does it mean to be brave? How do we do that? How do we express ourselves? I feel like the Fool is giving us another layer to that. So I'm going to read a little bit and then we will chat. The first description is going to be from the Osho Zen Tarot deck, which is the card deck that I used in that video. And so here's what Osho has to say about the Fool. A fool is one who goes on trusting. A fool is one who goes on trusting against all his experience. You deceive him and he trusts you. You deceive him again and he trusts you. You deceive him again and he trusts you. Then you will say that he is a fool. He does not learn. His trust is tremendous. His trust is so pure that nobody can corrupt it. Be a fool in the Taoist sense, in the Zen sense. Don't try to create a wall of knowledge around you. Whatsoever experience comes to you, let it happen and then go on dropping it. Go on cleaning your mind continuously. Go on dying to the past so you remain in the present, here now, as if just born, just a babe. In the beginning, it is going to be very difficult. The world will start taking advantage of you. Let them. They are poor fellows. I love that line. They are poor fellows. Even if you are cheated and deceived and robbed, let it happen, because that which is really yours cannot be robbed from you. That which is really yours, nobody can steal from you. And each time you don't allow situations to corrupt you, that opportunity will become an integration inside. Your soul will become more crystallized. And then there's this picture of this person, this fool, like walking off a cliff, holding this little flower in his hand. It's a guy. And here's what it says. Moment to moment and with every step, the fool leaves the past behind. He carries nothing more than his purity, innocence, and trust, symbolized by the white rose in his hand. The pattern on his waistcoat contains the colors of all 4 elements of the tarot. indicating that he is in harmony with all that surrounds him. His intuition is functioning at its peak. At this moment, the Fool has the support of the universe to make this jump into the unknown. Adventures await him in the river of life. The card indicates that if you trust your intuition right now, the feeling of rightness of things, you cannot go wrong. Your actions may appear foolish to others or even to yourself if you try to analyze them with a rational mind. But the zero place occupied by the Fool is the numberless number where trust and innocence are the guides, not skepticism and past experience. And then I went to my Sears tarot deck, and she has a picture of, I wish I'd pulled the card, I would have showed you, but she has a picture of this woman who's like hanging onto a tree and leaning off the side of a cliff. And she's got this huge amethyst crystal in her hand. And there's all these light grids that are being formed around the crystal. And then there's this huge open expanse or abyss below, with this crystal suspended over it. And so here is what Chris-Anne from Light Sears Tarot says. She says, I awaken my soul path and I am ready for adventure. The Fool overview. On the edge of an epic journey, the Fool peers into the abyss below and senses the seed of life calling out to her. She sees the opportunity in stardust swirling, and she knows that her dream begins with this single step. She's not sure what she will learn or exactly where she's headed, but she has clarity about one thing. She will need to jump in order to begin. With her crystal amplifier to guide her and her wand to protect her, she feels her toes slide past the threshold of her current reality. She sends one last intention prayer up to the universe and lets go, feeling the rush of the unknown rise up to meet her. She falls into the void where her beautiful future awaits. And then there's a phrase, optimistically falling towards a new future, towards the person you have dreamt you could be, falling foolishly. Maybe, but this is how soul paths are fun. And then the message is, every dream achieved begins with the seemingly foolish notion that there is something bigger out there, something greater, something epic to explore and to become. This childlike optimism comes from deep within your knowing, and it reminds you that you can achieve the magical things that you've been dreaming about. The journey of the soul begins with you and with you alone. The time has come to enthusiastically turn towards your new future and take a divine leap of faith in order to claim the reward that this abyss is offering. You may not feel ready. You may not be ready, but there is magic in the air, and the universe is waiting to support you with infinite love and guidance. Surrendering to the call of the Fool means putting deep trust and blind faith in the unknown. It means remembering that everything is happening as it should be happening. And it means swan diving into the seed of potential with all of your curiosity in tow. Sometimes in shadow, the Fool marks moments in life where you long for freedom and personal expression. If your life has become too conventional, go ahead and shake it up with something totally unexpected. During the genesis of something new, recklessness and impulsivity can create unnecessary obstacles on your path. Have you been ignoring good advice? Trust your instincts and tune into intuition and experience. Take any precautions you need and prepare for a stable landing. So that is the Fool from two perspectives, Zen and then Chris-Anne from the Light Sears Tarot. So why do we spend some time on this topic today? Well, the fact that it came up as the main card for the tarot card reading for Libra, when I think of Libra, and I shared this in the new moon reading, when I think of Libra, I often go external. I'm like, oh, it's about my relationships with other people. It's about the partnerships that I'm creating or working on right now. And the message I got from my own guides this week when I was doing my run, they're like, it's about going in and looking at the partnership you have with yourself, that inner knowing and guidance that sometimes I don't listen to, or that whispers and then yells and then nudges wanting to push me off the cliff, and I'm hanging on trying to stay back in the comfortable place or the familiar, not go into the unknown. And so my guides were really clear. They're like, yeah, it's about you and you right now. You need to go inward and sit with all of this. And so these videos and cards and messages they keep guiding me into that same place, that unknown place inside of myself. And so when I created the new moon meditation, the whole journey of that meditation was going inside. When I think of the fool to me is the archetype or the representation of one who knows oneself so clearly and powerfully and steadily that you're just you all the time, transparently, everywhere, with everyone. You're just always doing things, doing life in your own way, and the universe has your back when you do that. That was one of the main messages that was coming through when I was reading the card in that video. It's like the card has a picture of stars and moons in the back, and just this one individual hanging off the cliff. And I kept getting drawn to the stars and the moon. And like there's this huge landscape of support at the back of this one who believes he or she is by himself. Like, you're not. There's just all this magic at our back waiting for us. So this morning, this is a little example story. This morning, I knew that I had a pretty full day and I wanted to get the podcast ready and finished earlier than normal. And so in order to get my run in, if I wanted to exercise, I would have to get up when it was still dark. Not get up, but go out when it was still dark. Usually I wait until it's light because it's kind of not logical for me to run when it's dark because you can't see what you're going to step on and so you might trip. So I usually wait until it's light. But this morning I knew, like, I've got this little window, and so I need to do it while I can. And because it was dark and there's this windy road that I walk up that has only 2 lanes, really tight, no sidewalk, cars race up and down usually because it's a shortcut road. So I'm like, okay, I need to put my flashlight on. So I had my phone with my flashlight on. I'm walking up the hill, 6:30 this morning. I get to the top of the hill and I turn the flashlight off. And I'm thinking about all of this, thinking about the Fool and the card reading and the message of the podcast. And I turned my flashlight off, and I'd been looking down at the road the whole time because I was trying to make sure where I was going. And I stretched my back and, get ready to start running. And I look up, and the whole sky, which I hadn't noticed because I was looking down the whole time, the whole sky is just stars, just all the constellations. Like, you could just see everything. And then there's all these clouds off in front of me. So like above and behind me, tons of stars. Ahead of me, it was all foggy and clouds. And I had this moment of just standing there. I could hear the words, "The universe has your back. You're so held. You are so supported." Like, literally, literally right now, you have the universe above and around and behind you. Like, are you kidding? And I started to run, and I could just feel this, like, it's not just words. It's not just this card that I read and I see the description. I'm like, oh, okay, the archetype of the Fool. Like, it's living, breathing energy manifested here in this reality. And I feel like the universe just gave me this gift that said, yes, like, you do those things that look foolish or feel foolish to your rational mind. Why would you go for a run at 6:30 in the morning when it's dark? Like, you're doing this thing that seems foolish, and yet you do that thing in this tiny little example. This half-hour moment this morning here in Cincinnati. Magic. And you receive these beautiful gifts. The universe surprises and delights you with magic, and the timing, the impeccable timing of it. Because as I started running, those clouds were moving in, and by the time I went all the way to the end of one direction and was turning to come back, excited, thinking, now I can look at the stars, they're not at my back, it was all cloud cover. All the clouds had moved in, which also gives me that same consistent message. You can't always see the universe has your back. You can't always have evidence that that's what's happening. I saw it for a flash of a moment, and then I run, I turn around, it's like it wasn't even there, but it's always there. like all of that support and brilliance sits above the cloud cover, and that's just the filter that happens here in my human reality that happens here on earth. But the stars, the universe, is always sitting there. And so I feel like we're being encouraged constantly to be foolish. That's not true. To be the fool, to tap into the archetype of the fool, which is I am, what was it? Drop the personality. The one who goes on trusting and you deceive him, and then he trusts again, deceive and trust again. And then the more that all of those experiences just don't change the purity of the fool becomes this crystallized soul, this beautiful light, this beautiful energy of I am who I am and I know who I am. And so I'm going to live in truth of who I am. And that's how I'm going to navigate. It's it's just such a beautiful way to be. And my example with running, that's just a little, it's just a little example, but you think of the people like Jim Carrey comes to mind, the archetype of the fool, like just will do anything that to him feels in alignment. Well, I don't know him, but that's an assumption. It seems like he's just willing to play in whatever ways he's guided to play, and then he doesn't really care what you think. There are so many examples of the fool. So let's bring it back to here. I feel like in this new moon in Libra energy, we are invited to step into new beginnings, always at the new moon. But this zero card feels like an even deeper invitation. Like create a new path, blaze a new trail, be brave, be the fool. Like do the thing that you are here to do. And sometimes, often, that means we have to spend that time inside discovering, like, what is that purity of knowing that sits inside of us? What is the, when we drop the personality and the games that we all play, what sits right inside at the center of each one of us? What was it Chris Ann was saying, she knows that her destiny awaits. She knows that in order to do that, she has to take a jump and leap into it. What is that that's calling us? And I feel like the new moon in Libra energy, about partnerships, sacred partnerships, there's this sacred deep knowing that we all have, the soul that comes into the human body and the human mind, and the soul knows, like, I'm here to do something, this thing, this expression, whatever it is. Can we tap back into that? Of course we can. Of course we can. And so why would we do it? Because what a way to live, right? What an incredible way to live. So yeah, that's really all I have to offer today. I feel like I've been moving through so much with the new moon in Libra and exploring and sitting, and yeah, so I am going to take the weekend and play. A couple nuggets that I want to share. So the new moon video, I'll put the link below if you want to follow that thread of exploration with me and contemplation. This week, Sunday, we're going to have a guided meditation, energy healing session that's going to be for all who are in community via phone or web. So it's 10 o'clock Eastern on Sunday morning. I'm sure that the themes of being the fool and exploring totality and breaking the conditioning, everything that's been weaving its way through this week in my work, I am sure will be coming through on Sunday. And so it's a beautiful way to really just be in your own cocoon at home and allow me to do my magic and guide you through this meditation visualization process. And then we clear a whole bunch of those limitations and stuck beliefs, and then we open up to receiving more from source, more light, more purity, more awareness. And then on Monday, I made a note because I knew I might forget. On Monday, forget to share these nuggets. On Monday, I'm going to be starting the Awakening the Guides program for myself again. I'm going to move through the 8 modules. It is my online course that I share all the tools and the resources that guided me through my awakening. And that's through audio and video modules that you work through at your own pace. And so I'm going to be going back into that space as we move towards the end of this year and prepare for next year and clear whatever the next layer is that wants to show itself to me. So if you feel like you are ready for something deeper, if you are craving that, like, what is it in me that wants to be expressed? And I can't put my finger on it. I don't know how to define it, or I need this like companion walk with me as I go into these unknown, uncharted waters within myself. The Awakening the Guides course is self-managed, self-paced. And so you can do it in 8 weeks like I'm going to do it, or you can stretch it out and take longer. But doing it at the same time that I'm doing it is a really powerful way. I've only done it once when I created it. And so this will be my first time going back into the space and really opening it all back up. So if you feel the call, the information, I'll put the link also in the description. It's going to be a really powerful way to move through the rest of this year. You can tell I've been talking a lot this week. And then also, if you're just craving community, there is the external partnership part of Libra energy, meaning it's not just about yourself, it's about how you relate within community. We are having so much fun and expanding so beautifully in the energy gym space. And so it's a really amazing community to join if you are looking for a way to get to know people who have similar beliefs and ideas and interest in changing the world and being in truth, having authenticity and expressing who you are. All the good, juicy stuff that I love so much about community. You can find the information on that below too. All right, I send you off into your weekend with so much love. I will be back next week on Friday.
Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me in Viv's Energy Gym, where we are building a community of leaders in this new earth, exploring infinite embodiment, the soul aligning harmoniously with the human body and mind. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.